Okay, what's up, guys? This episode slash video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do, but it's also connected to everything that I do because it was an experience that really changed me as a person and then kind of catapulted me into like a more extreme healing journey because I had to basically like rewire my subconscious and relearn my self worth. So this is going to be a little bit long. I have some notes because I don't want to miss anything. So yeah, here we go. This is a story about my extremely toxic job that I left after a year and a half, and it was a very interesting experience, and I know, like, with my whole entire heart, that if I wasn't actively in therapy and coaching during this time in my life, I don't think I would be here today. So, here we go. So, in 2021, I got my dream job of being in a leadership role. And, I had worked at 12, 13 other hospitals at that point, and I had my MBA. So I was ready to, you know, take on a new role. And so I was like very, very excited for this job. I felt really good about my interview. I felt like the vibes were pretty decent. And I was just like excited to like learn and grow and do something new. I feel like I'm a lifelong learner, and so being able to be in a leadership role and also learn from like leaders who were higher up than me was just like, I was so excited. And I quickly learned that it wasn't for me, but I didn't do anything about it. So it started off with me, like learning my role, learning things, and I just felt like extremely overwhelmed because I was like, I had just moved to a new city. I was like away from my family and friends, like learning a new hospital system and like learning a leadership role. So obviously, like, I was stressed and worried about it, and I expressed that to the manager, and she was just like very dismissive and said like, you have no reason to be stressed. And I was like, okay, got it. And then we had like a leadership team meeting, and I just kind of sat there and observed. It was like my first month there, so I wasn't really like, I was still in the stages of observing things. And so I was just like sitting there, and the manager, like in front of everyone, was like, "Oh, I think Colleen should talk because she seems to be stressed about some things." And I was just like, "No, I'm good. Like, you just dismissed my feelings, so like, why would I bring them up to anyone else?" Um, so that like bothered me because I was like, okay, like I thought that I could like confide in you. Obviously not. So I told her like the next day, I was like, hey, I didn't really like how that went down yesterday, and I don't think I can work for someone who like treats me like that. Like, that was a little rough. And she's like, well, you gotta do what you gotta do. Then I got pulled into a meeting later on that day with the manager and the director and one of the other supervisors, and basically they're like, why are you here? Like, you should do some soul searching to figure out like what you actually want with your life. And I was like, okay, like, this is insane. I'm trying to like learn a new role. I'm trying to like be open about my feelings and like my experience, and like clearly that's not working out. So yeah, I was just kind of like lost, and it was really sad because the manager, like, I have written in my journal with like my first couple weeks that I really hoped that she liked me and that I hoped that we could have a good relationship and like I could learn a lot from her. And just like literally every single thing that was happening, I was like, I I don't know what to do. um so me and her kind of got off to a rocky start, and I expressed that. I expressed that I wasn't feeling good about things, and even after I got pulled into the meeting with her and the director, I told her, I was like, I feel like I can't trust you more now because this is like the second time I've come to you with something extremely important, and you just like either dismissed me or like went to someone else instead of like talking to me about it. Like, I'm a very direct person, and when I have a problem, like, it's easier for me to just be direct. So then, um, like, the work experience was awful. Pretty much everyone who, like, worked with me or worked, like, for me, um, was, like, twice my age, and I just really felt like I wasn't given a chance or, like, I don't know, being respected, and, like, not like respected like I'm in a leadership role, like you need to respect me, like just on like a human being level. I felt like I wasn't being respected at all. I felt like I don't feel like I was being dismissed in meetings. I would have ideas completely like no, we're not doing that, or someone would say the exact same thing in a meeting 5 minutes later, and it was fine for them to say, and it was fine. I had, you know, like submitted things like orders, and they were changed without my knowledge, or they weren't submitted by the director, and um, I would ask questions, and they would like give me the answers to the questions, and I would do what they said, and then the day after they'd be like, "Oh, you did that wrong." I'm like, "I literally asked you specifically. I specifically asked you." And I felt like I was just like spinning my wheels and doing so much like work-wise that it didn't matter. Like it didn't matter what I did. It was just like never good enough. It was wrong. Someone had a problem with it. Like it was a lot, and it was just like it was something every single day, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, literally, what am I doing? I was actively looking for other jobs while still trying to, like, do the best I could. Um, but more than just, like, the work aspect, I felt like a lot of the issues that um, were had about me were, like, personally. Like, me as a person. Like, so one of the examples, I wore black on Mondays because during my clinicals, we wore black on Mondays and we called it Morning Mondays. And just like as a tradition, I continued to wear black on Mondays, like every hospital I worked at, because it was just like a nod to the time in my life at clinicals where, like, I loved the people I was with. And so we just had fun and did like theme days. And so eventually the people at this job started wearing black on Mondays. And the director like noticed, and she's like, ugh, you have way too much influence on these people. Like, why would they want to be like you? I was like, okay, like I didn't tell any single person to wear black. Like, this is just what's happening. Um, and then I had my first eval, which was just such a pleasant experience. And I was told that, like, literally walked into the office, sat down, the first thing that was said was, "It was really hard for me to find the positives in you." Okay, so that was happening. And then, like, not just like the manager and director being involved, then it was above them starting to get involved. Um, and the like chief, it was the chief nursing officer, basically thought that I was the problem because she was being told that I was the problem by certain people. And then they did like a survey, like a leadership survey, where everyone who worked there got to express their feelings and, you know, give feedback on what was going on in leadership. And then they realized that I wasn't actually the problem. So then things kind of shifted, and I started talking to the chief nursing officer a little bit more. And, you know, she was good. She definitely saw my potential, but also would kind of make comments like, someone like her can't champion for someone like me. And she kind of wanted me to change my, like, approach to things. I'm like, okay, like, whatever you say. Um, so it just got progressively worse. There was like more influence from leadership, and things were being said about me behind the scenes, and I was like finding out about it. And so again, I confronted my manager, and I was just like, I know that I trigger you. I know that I'm doing something that upsets you, and I just like wish that you would tell me what it is, because I really want to have a good relationship with you, and I feel like it's not happening. And she's one of those people who's very like bubbly, comes off as bubbly and like perky, and just like, everything's fine and whatever, like, be positive and don't ever express your feelings. And that's not me. And so she was just like, oh no, like, I think we're fine, like, it's great, like, I don't have a problem with you. And I'm like, you don't treat someone the way you treat me and not have a problem with them. But okay. So then, things were moved around in leadership, and the director got demoted. And then, you know, they were kind of like in talks, like, with me, like, well, do you want to be moved? Do you want to like grow in this role? Like, do you want to move up? Do you want to be manager? Do you want to be director one day? Like, what are your goals? And at the time, that was my goal, was to like be in lab leadership. And I'm like, I don't know if I could work any more closely with the people above me, because they don't like me. Like, they don't appreciate me, they don't value me. Like, I'm being told all the time that I'm negative and I'm a problem and I'm this, that, and the third. And like, I don't know if I can like move up and like be okay with it. And so all this was going on at work, and I just felt like outside of work I was like losing myself as a person. My therapist, like, I would see her every 2 weeks, and we would like, pretty much the first 30 minutes of our appointment was just like me telling her everything that was happening at work. And she would just sit there like in shock, like, at everything that happened and things that were like said to me and about me. And she's like, I don't understand what you're doing. I don't understand what you think you're going to gain from this role. I feel like you're not really learning anything. There's not really anyone who's mentoring you. Like, you're just like spinning your wheels, and like what are you doing? And I was just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Um and then we would like do, she was like a holistic therapist, so we would do like inner work, like we would do like body scans and stuff like that. And so every single time we would do something like that, all the feelings like were like sadness and betrayal and hurt and disappointment and whatever, but like outwardly, like to the world, I was just angry. Like I would go to work and I would just be like so frustrated and so mad about like everything that was transpiring, because if I had come to work and been like, I'm disappointed, I'm hurt, I'm sad, I feel like I don't have a purpose here, I feel like worthless. Like, if I had said those things, that would have been used against me 1,000%. With the way that things were there, that would have been used against me. So instead, I was just like mad and pissed off all the time and just like angry. And it was it was really tough, and I look back at pictures of myself during that time and I'm like, you poor thing. Like, I had no life in my eyes. Like, my soul had fully left my body, and I was just like going through the motions of like going to a job I hated, working with people who didn't even like me or respect me, trying to prove myself to people who never would have like accepted or acknowledged anything that I was doing in a good way. Like, I think if my manager and director had to say something positive about me, they would have imploded. Like, it would have just been like game over for them. And I remember, like, once the new director got brought in, things did get better because she was like a people person. Like, she was very good at getting to know people and kind of like feeling people out, and I felt like she saw me as a person and she saw my value as like a worker, which I didn't like I didn't care about that. I just like wanted someone there to like see me as a human being, like, and not just like the role that I played, and I felt like she was the first one to actually like get to know me on that level. And I remember a meeting with her. I was in her office, like, talking about things and just like upset about how things were playing out. And my manager had been out for a couple months, and so I had like taken over her role, and the director got demoted, so I was like doing some of that. And like other departments didn't have like supervisors yet, so I was doing that, and I was just like going and going and going and going. And like, they were all the like higher leadership was like, oh, like, you're doing so great, like, you're gonna get promoted at some point and blah blah blah, and just like keep doing what you're doing and like you'll see what happens. And like, nothing was ever like, there was never a timeline. It was like, just keep doing what you're doing, like, whatever, like, things will work out. And I'm like, i can't I can't do it. And so I remember sitting in her office just like extremely overwhelmed with everything that was happening, and she just like looked at me. She's like, do you even want this? Like, do you even want to be a manager or director here? Like, is this what you want? It's like, because you're just like fighting for something. Like, you're fighting for this, but like, is this actually what you want? And I was like, no. This is not even remotely what I want. Like, I'm so disconnected. I'm so angry. I feel like I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown. Like, this is not normal. Like, and why would I want to be promoted and then add more stress to what was like already happening? So that conversation, like, I had already wanted to quit. I had already told them multiple times that I was quitting, and I just kept like, it was like battered wife syndrome, where it was so bad, but then there would be like good moments, and I was like, okay, like, I can like handle this. Like, this is fine. And then it would get bad again, or like my manager, like, I always said we had a love-hate relationship, and like everyone's like, "Oh yeah, like, haha." But it was like way deeper than just like a love-hate relationship. It was like, this is my take on it, and I don't really know what her take is on it. I don't really care because this is my experience, but for her, she loved me as a worker. Like, she loved that I would come in and work extra and then I would be helpful, and that she really didn't have to like worry about me that much because I figured a lot of things out on my own. And she loved that I did my job and that she no longer had to cover for me, because before I got there, she was like covering that. And she had said multiple times, she's like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do if you leave because then I'm just going to have all this extra work." I'm like, okay. So I felt like she loved me as a worker, but she hated me as a person, because you can't treat someone the way you treat me and like me as a person. And like I'm very like energetically in tune with people, and so like I know when something shifts and I know when the energy's off, and it was off. It was really off with her, and I like wanted so badly to have a good relationship with her that I was like, I want to talk about this. Like, I want to know what your thought process is. Like, what are you thinking? Because I know that you don't like me. I know that there's something off. Like, and I just want it to be on the table so I can stop doing what I'm doing, because I don't want there to be this tension. It's like literally ruining my life. It's literally ruining my nervous system. It's like I can't. And then for me, the love hate. I loved her as a person, which is crazy. And I would always be like so pissed about that. Like, how can you love or care about someone who literally treats you like crap? But we had very deep conversations. Like, she was also like a spiritual person. So we would have these like really deep life conversations. And to me, that's like so important, to be able to talk to someone about things other than like the weather and work. Like, I appreciate that so much in a person, and I would like we would openly talk about things like that. I would talk to her about my therapy and like things that I was working through, and like we would have these like such good conversations behind the scenes, and then like in front of other people, like in meetings, it was like we didn't just have that conversation 5 minutes ago. And that was where I hated her. Was I hated her as my boss, because she would throw me under the bus, just like treat me like differently in meetings, and like everyone noticed that that was happening. Um, I wanted her to like mentor me, and I wanted her to like teach me things, and that didn't happen. And I felt like she was very like competitive, and instead of like helping me help her, she just like put me down so she could like step on me to like get ahead. And it was so tough. It was like I remember going to like one of the other supervisors' office like whenever I was upset, and I would just be like, I just want a good relationship with her. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Like I have good relationships with like the other supervisors, like people on my team. Like, why can't I have a good relationship with this woman? Like, I don't get it. And it was like so frustrating. It like to this day it frustrates me, because I'm like, you had a good relationship when you were a supervisor with the manager, so like what the hell? So that was like just like turmoil. And I finally decided after a year and a half, like I couldn't take it anymore. I was like one issue away from committing myself to a mental facility. Like, without a doubt, I was crying all the time. I was so mad. I was so like I didn't have fun. Even when I wasn't at work, I like couldn't have fun, because everything in my brain was just like thinking about that job, and thinking about like the mental manipulation that was going to happen between all the managers and directors and chief nursing officers, like in my head. And so I resigned, and my therapist literally clapped. She literally clapped when I resigned. She's like, I'm so glad that you finally realize that this is not for you. This whole experience has been a contrast to what you want for your life. Like, I know you want more for your life, but having more for your life does not mean selling your soul to a job to have like a title of more. And so she told me, she was like, I know you're happy right now and I know you're feeling really good, but it's going to take you a long time to feel like yourself again, to feel like a person again. And I was like, no, like I I'm done with the job, like I'm going to like move on and it's going to be fine. Like I'm good. Like I don't need I'm done. Like I'm good. Like I'm going to move on with my life and things are going to be good and that experience is just going to be a distant memory. Well, she was absolutely correct. Obviously, I should have believed a therapist with multiple decades of experience, but you know me, very stubborn. So, for a while, when I first left, I felt really good. I was like, okay, this is no longer my experience. I'm going to start a business. I started doing copywriting and like email marketing and stuff for my cousin who was a life coach, and I was like, I'm going to build off this. I'm going to help like other coaches and whatever and whatever. So that was like a distraction basically. And I stopped therapy, but I was still going through coaching. And I would like talk to my coach and like tell her stories and about like what happened there to like kind of like fill her in on why I was feeling certain ways. And I was like, like this happened and I know some people don't believe me. They say like I'm making up stories in my head and whatever, because that was another thing that was said by the chief nursing officer, that I made up stories in my head and that none of this actually happened, which is insane because I journaled every day and I can tell you the time and date of all the horrible things that were said to me. So I was like telling my coach about things and I was like, yeah, like it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but like this is really what happened. And she's like, I believe everything you're saying. There is no reason for me not to believe what you're saying. Your experience is your truth. Like, let's just like move forward with this. And that was just like, because I really didn't talk about all the, like the nitty gritty details about what was happening behind the scenes because it was a lot. Like I was like honestly embarrassed by a lot of the things because I'm like, I'm allowing this treatment. Like I'm allowing these people to like belittle me and like treat me like dirt. And normally, like in the real world, I'm like, I don't allow that. I don't allow that type of energy, but I was in like a leadership role, so I had to be professional. So I couldn't like tell someone off. Like I just had to like take it. So anyway, my coach was like, you need to do a rage ceremony, like a sacred rage ceremony. So she's like, you need to go through your journal. You need to write everything that happened that hurt you in some way, anything that was said to you, anything that was done to you, whatever. You need to write it down. Then you need to read it and you need to listen to like a rage song. And so I listened to the punk rock version of Surface Pressure from the movie Encanto because that was my theme song. So I listened to that and I just like raged and like screamed and punched things and threw things. And she's like, okay, and once you feel all the anger, once you let out all the anger and you reread everything, then I need you to rip up the paper and play the Emmett Sisters song Ho'opono, it's like the prayer, like I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And then I need you to burn the papers. So I did the rage and then I sat there and I ripped the papers and burned them and just like sobbed. And like at that moment I was like, the walls that I had built up and like the disassociation from my experience just like completely just like shattered. And then I finally like felt everything. I felt all the feelings that I had been bypassing for all the time that I had been at this job. So, like, a year and a half of emotions just like came up, and I was just like crying. And then I didn't stop crying for like months and months and months because I was like feeling again and just like re- reflecting and realizing like, oh my god, like this the time that I started there, I was so confident and so excited and so like joyful, and then by the time I left there, I felt nothing because I had blocked myself off from feeling things, and I was just like angry. And I never got to actually feel the emotions of like being disappointed and being hurt and being disconnected, and like the thought of like I didn't matter, and I let myself get to a point where I like wasn't even a human anymore. Like I was just like a robot doing all these things. And then like after that rage ceremony, I was in like a very dark place because I was like realizing how I let that experience affect me, and I realized that my inner voice for a year and a half plus was not even my own voice. It was the voice of my manager saying that it was hard to find the positives in me, that I was the problem, that I was negative, that I was, you know, X, Y, and Z. And then the director and like my lead were saying things that like I ruined the lab, and I just like created all these problems, and I was negative and this and that, and that was my inner voice. Their voices were my inner voice. And it was really tough. It was really tough for me to realize like wow, I've been operating from this place of feeling worthless and unworthy and like I didn't matter, and it had nothing to do with me. Like that was not my actual voice. Like that was that was them. Like that was their impact on me, and like how horrible that I let that happen. And for a very long time, I like couldn't I forgave them because I understood that that was like their issue, but like it was really hard for me to forgive myself for like allowing that to happen and allowing that experience to like completely change me as a person and like make me lose all self-confidence, all self-worth, all like everything. And I was in a very 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 dark place. Like basically I felt like what is the purpose of living? Like I allowed someone to make me feel like that. So I took a lot of time off. Like I stopped doing copywriting, and then I started like working on myself. I got certified in hypnotherapy and Reiki, and I fully rewired my belief system in myself. And it took a while because like rewiring your subconscious does not happen overnight. And so like I basically had to reprogram a year and a half of being told that I was worthless and that like I didn't matter. So I took time off, and everyone in my life thought I was like crazy because like, well, what are you doing? Like, you're not working, you're not doing whatever. And I was like, I can't. I physically cannot work. I can't stop crying. I can't stop feeling my feelings. I didn't have feelings for a very long time. I blocked myself out. I like had these walls built up because I didn't want like to be hurt anymore. And so I took time off and I relaxed and I went to the beach and I did a lot of inner work. And it got to the point where I was like, I miss the lab. Like I miss that type of work. I miss like the being a nerd. I miss that. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back part-time to the lab. I felt like I had done enough work on myself that I needed to like prove to myself that I was okay. But I was scared because I'm like, if I have another experience like this experience, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Like, I don't know if I can, like, pull myself up from that again. And so I went back to the lab part time after a year and some change being off, and it was like the best decision ever because I got to use my brain in that way again, and I got to like prove to myself that I can handle stress and I'm not going to let other people dictate my emotions and like who I am as a person, and I'm not going to let what other people say like change my inner voice again. And so that time in my life was like so horrible, but also like so pivotal. Like, if it hadn't been that bad, I don't know if I ever would have left and like really worked on myself and really like changed like my subconscious and like really like gotten to know myself, because for my entire life I was always like doing something. I was always in sports and school, like traveling for work, like working all the time. Like, I never really got to know me and got to like feel my feelings. Like, I was always just like pushing them away and like just going. And like, once I stopped and took that time for myself, like, I'm a completely different person. Like, not just like all my cells are different, obviously, because it's been so long, but like, I just have such like a different view of myself and like understanding of like people around me, and that like it's not personal. Like, how other people treat me is not on me, like that's on them. And I just feel like so much lighter and so much better. But had that experience not been terrible like that, I would have never gotten to this point. Like, I would still probably be there, just like suffering in silence, like working at a job that was like completely not aligned with people that were not aligned. And granted, there's a lot of people that I worked with at that job who I love so deeply, because they loved me and they cared about me when I was like at my worst. And they made my days like a little bit brighter, where I felt like I did have like a little bit of a purpose. And they supported me and they had my back and they saw what was going on, and they did like the best that they could to show me love when other people were just incapable of doing that and just kind of raining on my parade. But that experience definitely changed me in the moment. And then like leaving that experience and like taking the time away from myself has changed me for like the better. And so, as much as that experience was like so painful, and like there's still things that happen that like if I think about it for too long I'll start crying, um I'm grateful for that experience. I'm grateful for the people that I met there, good and bad, because it showed me exactly who I don't want to be. Um, and I'm just grateful for where I'm at now and where I'm going. So that was very long. And I'm sure I missed things, but I didn't want to get too into the nitty gritty of things that happened there, because I probably would have started crying and whatever. But it's been on my heart to talk about. And I think when you talk about like things that happen to you, it just like removes it from your body and you can just like heal even deeper. So I'm thank you for giving me the space to talk about it. Um, and just thank you for being here. So I will talk to you soon.